There was once a world covered in water because of a great flood. There were no living animals on the dry land until one day an eagle swooped down with a crow on its back and landed on what appeared to be a stump in the middle of the water. After they landed on the immensely sized stump, they looked out upon the miles and miles of water, and everything seemed peaceful. While surveying the earth, the eagle and crow saw that there were small fish swimming around their stump, occasionally jumping in and out of the water lightheartedly. They became hungry while watching the fish, and their hunger grew. Eventually, they dove down to catch fish to eat. As time went on, a game developed where they saw who could catch more fish, but whenever they got back to the stump, they shared their catch. The two birds wished to find land, so they went out and scoured the terrain for dry land. But they never found land. They consulted each other and wondered, how can we possibly think of a way to make land? They knew that the fish were no help for anything but food, so they continued their search. Shortly after that, one morning, the eagle and crow saw a duck swimming around their stump. Sometimes it would dive deep into the water and bring up fish. Once the duck came up with more mud than he had fish in his mouth. The birds became very excited and tried to think of a way to communicate to him that they needed the mud in order to build land. They decided that they could catch fish for the duck in exchange for mud. The birds placed the fish on the edge of the stump, and soon enough it figured out they were for him in exchange for the mud. After the duck dove for mud, the birds would scrape the mud off its bill with their wings. Slowly the piles of mud built up, and the eagle and crow kept placing fish for the duck on the edge of the stump. As the stacks of mud grew, the birds decided they were going to share the new world. They still searched for new land but never found any, but noticed that the water was flowing around the tree stump. Each day, as the duck kept his promise, their mud piles got higher and they watched for the lowering of the water. Once the eagle didn't return from his search until late, and the next day he was astonished to find how much his mud pile had grown. But when he looked at Crow's mud pile, he was flabbergasted to see that the crow's pile was 2 times bigger than his own. Was this Crow's idea of sharing the new world? The two birds argued over Crow's injustice, but soon returned. The eagle concocted a plan to catch 2 fish for duck in return for twice as much mud. All 3 of them worked really hard, and the eagle's mud pile grew larger and larger than Crow's. One morning, the birds looked through the water and saw land. They were very ecstatic and hoped their new world would soon be completely dry. But that night, storms arose and soaked the whole world over again in rain. When the rain stopped and the sun came out, the birds saw a colorful arc stretching across the sky. They wondered what it could mean as Eagle flew towards it, but only disappointed to find it had disappeared. They resumed their work after deciding the rain of the night before was clearing showers. Duck returned, the mud hardened, and they continued their work. Once again, the water began to subside and land came up again, but far below Eagle and Crow's now massive piles of mud. Eagle's half was still much taller, and although Crow's half was big, it would never become as large. Now, when people tell the yokut creation story, they say that Eagle's half became the Sierra Nevada mountains and Crow's became known as the Coast Mountain Range. They end this legend by honoring Eagle for his admirable feat, while giving Crow a lesser place because of the unfair nature that he showed during the creation of the New World by Eagle and Crow.